Hi, I'm Jim and I was retired. Is Boldin stumbling on the road to become the best financial planner in the box? In this video, I'll address the question, is Boldin broken? Now, last week's video on the 4 major tax changes for seniors was seen by more than 46,000 viewers and attracted several hundred new subscribers to this channel. So I'm going to begin by reminding you that I'm not a professional and I'm not selling anything. I'm just a DIY retiree sharing the lessons that I've learned from nearly a decade of managing my own retirement. I'm also not being paid for this review. While some YouTube channels are marketing partners with Boldin, I'm giving you an independent review from a long-term fan. Now, back in 2019, I began looking at Stephen Chen's NewRetirement as I did my own DIY retirement, and I paid an annual fee for PlannerPlus, more as a Kickstarter contribution to a project that I hope would succeed. Now, I first reviewed the product on this channel in 2021, and it definitely grew and matured into what I declared as a financial planner in a box. In September 2024, NewRetirement rebranded to Boldin, and in December 2024, I updated my review with the Boldin is better except for the name. You can check out that video and others that I've done on Boldin and NewRetirement since this channel started. Hey, and be sure to stay to the end of this video for a way to save money on Boldin. So my critiques in this video come from a place of a desire to see the Boldin team fix these issues for all of us DIY retirees who need an application like this to mass customize our financial plan. Now, I tested Boldin's new approaches to rate assumptions earlier in 2025, but some of the recent changes now have influenced what is going on with the rate assumptions and the Monte Carlo Explorer that's just changed. And that has resulted in a lot of consternation, as I'll show you. Here's an example of the concerns that were raised most recently by the Monte Carlo changes. One Reddit viewer noted the sudden changes in the chance of success, and I've seen similar questions in the Boldin Facebook group. Now, in this discussion, Rob Berger offered his explanation. He also covered this topic in one of his recent videos. You should go check that out. But it all comes down to the differences between the average annual growth rate and a compounded annual growth rate. Now, this is the basic free level of Boldin Planner. When I open it up, it starts with this new, smarter growth assumptions with better rates. And again, I have the PlannerPlus. So I was really surprised to go down here and see the 70% here where there used to be a 90% in this basic version. And again, the same thing happened in my PlannerPlus with my own real numbers in it. But when you go into the accounts and then adjust the rates of returns for your separate accounts and do it for both your traditional IRA and your Roth IRAs, change them from whatever you have there, and in this case I was using more conservative numbers, but change them to something that tracks with the annual average growth rates that they're now using, save those assumptions, and then go to the Roth, go there and put it maybe a higher rate of return in the Roth, and then save that as well. Now, when you go back to the overview and come down there, it's a 99% chance of success. And the same thing happened in my PlannerPlus as well. By the way, you can keep track of what's going on with Boldin here under Release Notes, which you find in the upper right corner under Resources. And you'll see one of the top items here is that they're in the process of updating all of Boldin for the tax changes in the one big beautiful bill. But when I grabbed a screenshot of this page yesterday, at the bottom was a bullet that said optimistic and pessimistic rates. And it said that they're adjusting the original plan to fully remove optimistic and pessimistic forecasts based on user feedback. We'll focus on removing optimistic and pessimistic from a few high friction areas like the Monte Carlo Explorer while keeping the core structure in place for now. However, the next day, the bullet was gone. So I'm going to watch for further developments. Clearly, there's a problem with what they were planning to do with optimistic and pessimistic, the rate assumptions, and the Monte Carlo, and it's going to take some work. Now, by the way, my own DIY retirement withdrawal strategy uses compounded annual growth rate as a conservative approach, and I take the CAGR that I've calculated over the course of my entire retirement into my spreadsheet. And that's a way of giving me a more conservative approach for projecting out. Obviously, I'm not doing Monte Carlo on my spreadsheets, and there clearly are some arguments that say you should use the average annual growth rate as opposed to CAGR for a Monte Carlo. I'm going to let this all sort out, but I will have to tell you, when I went back and adjusted my rates with a annual average growth rate from Quicken, and I went out to a 5-year average for each account, and I used that number in my account, and then I returned to like a 90 plus success ratio on that chances of success. I also should tell you that in the 7 years that I've been using this product, I've stuck to using the average view. I plug in my number as the average and it generates its optimistic and pessimistic rates. But I should tell you that I don't rely on those. The pessimistic is pessimistic for every day of every year of your retirement. And optimistic is optimistic for every day of every year of your retirement. I'd rather use a Monte Carlo that gives me a random generation of numbers around that. Now, Boldin also needs to remove this item here on the rate assumptions, and that is whether we want to change back to the 2017 tax rate. Since the One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed, we're not going back to those. But they'll also need to make some changes to implement larger standard deductions and the temporary senior bonus levels through 2028. Make sure you go see my recent video on those changes. Now, I'm not sure what they're going to do about the higher state and local tax deductions and whether there's a chance that they'll give you an option to look at that versus the standard deductions. Now, how about you? Comment below if you're using Boldin and if you've noticed this change in your chance of success. What are your thoughts about the issue and how do you approach it? Monte Carlo or optimistic and pessimistic? And if you found this video helpful, will you please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this channel if you like entertaining ideas from one DIY retiree? Even with these issues that I've discussed, Boldin is worth considering. It's priced for the masses who need affordable financial planning. Hey, but hurry, if you want to save some money on your subscription to Boldin, you can lock in the current $120 a year for PlannerPlus. It'll go up to $144 a year on July 14th, but they'll give you that $120 a year price if you subscribe now. And remember, you can always start with a 14-day free trial. Hey, I'll remind you, I'm not a Boldin partner, and I'm paying something less than $120 a year because I've been there since the start. However, I fully recommend that you consider even $144 a year is worth it compared to a high AUM fee or a financial plan that could cost you thousands of dollars. I will conclude with my standard warning. I have no initials after my name, so take these as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another. Always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need one.